Thank you so much for meeting with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Can we talk just a little bit about the Turkish Foundation for Underwater Archaeology and how you got involved in it and some of the work it's doing?
Yes. In 1960, where we call him the father of underwater archaeology, Professor Dr. George Bass came to Turkey and initiated the excavations. And he actually set all the basics for underwater archaeology in Turkey. So he is considered worldwide the father of underwater archaeology. Institute of Nautical Archaeology is an independent institute working under Texas A&M University. And after many years of excavations, more or less 15, 16, very important findings took place. The shores of Turkey is so rich that within the reach of, let's say, 60 to 70 meters maximum, you may find more than 3 or 4 shipwrecks from every century, starting from 16th century BC until today. So we thought that Turks should also contribute to these works. Back in 1999, with a group of Turkish businessmen who are highly interested in archaeology and diving, we formed the Turkish Foundation for Underwater Archaeology in Turkey. It's not a scientific organization, but nevertheless making necessary funds available for the universities who are in line working with underwater archaeology. And bearing that in mind, I am also a director at the Institute of Nautical Archaeology at Texas A&M University. So the richness comes from this variety of shipwrecks. We're talking about 3,600 years, all from the oldest until today. And it is possible to see a shipwreck from any of these centuries. And the existing shipwrecks all around Turkey, when we say all around Turkey, we're talking about 8,000 kilometers, which is roughly 5,000 miles. It is possible to do it. And then lately, Dr. Ballard, Robert Ballard, who found Titanic, who is also having his new base for oceanographic archaeology in Turkey, in Bodrum, which is very significant because it's not only the Institute of Nautical Archaeology taking Bodrum as their headquarters, which is southwest of Turkey, where we have the richest underwater archaeology museum in the world. Also, Robert Ballard seems to be working in deep waters for the same purpose, not only around Turkey, as I understand, the Black Sea, the Aegean, and the Mediterranean, but he has also the interest to work in the Red Sea and in the Indian Ocean. But he has set Bodrum as his headquarters. So that's also a very important point for his choice. Otherwise, he wouldn't come all the way down to Turkey. So there are 2 main institutes from the United States. INA stands as #1 worldwide institute for underwater archaeology, with surveys, with its findings and discoveries in the world. They have about 160 projects all around the world, but they have only one headquarters, and that's in Turkey. And in that respect, I think Turkey is not only rich with its findings on the land, but also, I think, a #1 country worldwide with its underwater archaeological excavations and the artifacts found.
Could you talk a little bit about some of the artifacts that they find in the shipwrecks? Is
Yes.
it just the ship itself, or do they find
Of course, what is of high interest is not only the artifacts, but to be able to know about the construction of the ships, how they were made, what type of wood was used, and the construction and the evolution of the construction. That's of high interest. Apart from Dr. Bass, the second important name in underwater archaeology is Dr. Cemal Pulak, who is a Turkish, also a teaching staff member at the Texas A&M. The oldest shipwreck ever found was in Turkey, near Kaş. We call it the Uluburun shipwreck, where I had very high intentions of bringing the artifacts to Carlos Museum 2 years ago, but then it failed, unfortunately, because they had also a very interesting scheduled exhibition of Tutankhamun. So it failed, but it could have been brought to Atlanta because it was already in the Metropolitan Museum, where I have fixed the necessary permissions for the Metropolitan Museum. I also got the permission for Atlanta, but it failed. I hope we bring it for another occasion somehow to Atlanta.
Could you talk a little bit about some of those artifacts?
Yes, I think they found not only the gold cups, ceramics, and they have found the Nefertiti scarab over there, and also a lot of ivory. So it was a trading ship in the Mediterranean, stopping over Egypt, Cyprus, Lebanon, and most probably going towards North Greece, because some of the ceramics they found were from North Greece. Not only being the oldest shipwreck ever found, but dating from 14th century BC, we're talking 3,400 years. There was some wood construction left from this ship. Not very much, but it was a good indication that the ship was able to carry a lot of copper and tin, which was from the late Bronze Age period. The older generation in Europe is really quite a good portion of their population, whereas Turkey is very young. The optimum age range, which represents 65%, is around 20 years of age. So that's, I think, the real power for any kind of an activity. It's very energetic and it's very promising, and to recover will be much more easier than any other country around, I would say. Despite to the fact that we were hit compared with some other countries, neighborhood countries, more severely. But I think it's recovering, and Turkey will again come back to its promising big growth rates within 2 years, I think.
Could you also talk a little bit about your trip to Atlanta this time and why you were here and your impressions of the city?
We have a very outstanding personality in Atlanta who represents the interests of the Turks, the honorary consulate, Mrs. Mona Diamond. And I'm also a member of the American-Turkish Friendship Council of Atlanta. This time we have gathered our board just to be able to talk on the project for a breast cancer unit in Turkey, in Mersin, down on the Mediterranean. This is a very challenging project, not only for Mona Diamond, but for all of us. The type of breast cancer center which is projected to take place is going to be a unique opportunity under Turkish circumstances, with all the technicalities and with all the know-how which will be carried from here all the way down to Turkey. So we are proud of Mrs. Mona Diamond being representing the Turkish honorary consulate here, but also with the projects ongoing is really distinctive.